Bonjour, everyone. Hi, this is Neshi Lokotz. Welcome to Star Nation's organization's main fan page where I do this daily live stream, or nearly every day, I should say, live stream. And it's all around the card draw, the divination card draw that I do in the morning. And that card draw, the intention is to show us what is most important for us to know about today, the energy flow. And that can help us with our spiritual growth, right? But more importantly, the cards spark a spiritual conversation in the chat room. And that part I just love. And so welcome. Today is Wednesday. It's Wednesday and it's May 1st. Happy May Day, right? Who received a May basket this morning? Do you remember making those as a kid? I do. Although my family didn't really practice that, we made them in school and we learned about them, right? And who knew public school was teaching about a pagan rite? I didn't know that at the time, and I'm sure a lot of people didn't either. But we made some pretty baskets, though. That's for sure. So before we get going too much further down the road here, I am going to take my phone and I'm going to like and share the live stream. And I'd invite you to do the same. Here we are. And I'm going to share it over to my news feed so that my friends know that I'm live streaming. And you can do it to your news feed if you want, or you could just do it to a couple of friends. That's good too. Somebody that you think that would enjoy the conversation, maybe looking for the information. Okay, and then I'm just going to ask them to please join us. There we go. Simple enough. FedEx just went by. Yeah, I know. I'm expecting a little something for George that we ordered him. We got him a different, it's one of those raised beds, that they're to get him up off the floor. And so I don't know if he's going to like it. I mean, he's used to it at the daycares and that sort of thing. So I'm hoping that he's going to like that. We're going to test it out. And if he likes it, then we'll get him one for the outside too. But we're waiting on it. So I thought maybe FedEx dropped it off. Who knows? I won't know till we're done with the show. So I was wondering about something. I wasn't sure how to ask this, but I'm going to do it anyway. Last night in my weekly show, Communications from Home, it's the last Tuesday of the month, right? And we did the Unity Breath meditation together, and having be the guide for that ancient meditation is that I also, because I'm guiding it, I'm right there with you guys, right? And so I was just wondering how things went after we were done and ended the broadcast, because I have to say that when I was just falling asleep, I could feel a whole lot of energy getting moved around. And I had asked those that were going to be there last night that if they wanted to tap into the energy of spring, and also because we were in the frequency of love, the vibration of love, that would be a great time to plant seeds and to create, to manifest something that you'd really like, right? So I was just wondering if anybody else had any kind of experience after the show. Right afterwards, it wasn't much different for me, I have to admit, because when I get done here, I go back home, which is only a block away, and I help Mom into bed and get her all situated, and then I usually sit down and work for about an hour and a half, 2 hours or so, only because Paul's got George, and I can really focus on something that takes more of my attention, right? And so I didn't really notice much of anything until I actually was about ready to fall asleep, that in-between spot, right? So if you have anything that you want to share, that would be great. I'm just curious what others had experienced afterwards. So as a reminder, we are shifting things a bit here for the daily live stream and group card draw show. I was doing this for a year. I've been doing this for a year come May 5th. And a daily live stream. We almost hit every single day. There were some times where I had to take a break and take the weekend off. There were a couple times where I had business meetings, that sort of thing. But, for the most part, it was every day. And so now that we've almost reached that exact point for a year, I'm going to be going down to 5 days. I need a couple of more days to work on publishing items for Star Nations. We got two books coming up this year, and we also have the one that we just published, which is The Sound Weavers with author Madonna DePaulo. And so the publishing end needs a little bit more of my attention. And so I need some time in there. And so the live stream show is going to run Sunday through Thursday. Same time, 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 Central, but we're just dropping down to 5 days. Yeah. So that gets started this week. And so tomorrow we'll end our week, and we'll pick it back up on Sunday. Yeah. Okay. Well, okay, so Julie Shumway Hill is in the house. Hello, Julie. And Rob says, just say, I got crap to do. Deal with it. Oh, okay. Is that the energy that was last night, or is that the energy right now? Yeah, and speaking of Julie Shumway Hill, she is our Star Nations Academy manager. And we've been working on a few things for the Academy as well. We got a brand new class coming up in the fall, in September. I think it's the weekend of the 27th, if I remember right. And that is the Sacred Artist. Sacred Artist? Spiritual Artist. Oh, no. Let's see if I have it up. Sacred Artist. Sacred Artist, working with oil pastel class with working artist, Christine Pollock. And we're just going to get that up listed. I sent everything over to our webmaster, so to see if he's got some time to list the class on our website, and then you'll start seeing the promotions coming out. Although we could probably do it right now, considering we have everything in place for those who would really like to learn how to work with oil pastels, and also to blend in, pun intended, spirituality into your artwork. And so that's in September. Mm-hmm. And of course, we have the Tarot Immersion class coming up at the end of this month, May 31st through June 2nd. Let me tell you, that is a hands-on class. Bring your deck of cards, and if you're just beginning, come, okay? And even if you don't have a deck of cards, that's how new you are, it's okay. We'll probably have an extra deck or two available for you to be able to work with. If you're an intermediary and you just want to hone your language skills with the tarot, Julie Hedges is a wonderful teacher for that. And we'll be having her book here as well. She was our very first author for Star Nations Publishing 3 years ago. It's called The Tarot Journey, Volume 1. Thank you, Julie. See, this is why I need help. I got so many dates and stuff going on. The artist class is September 20th through the 22nd. Thank you, Julie. Yeah, and so the immersion class, the Tarot immersion class, it's going to be a good one. Going to be, I'm sure there's lots of things about that ancient language called the Tarot that is going to bubble to the surface for you in those memories to remember, because you probably already know. It's just helping you to uncover that gift and to be able to step into it, to claim it, to embrace it. Yeah, that'll be a good class. All right. Julie says, unfortunately, I was not able to watch last night. We'll have to catch the replay. Yeah, good one. Yeah, it was just the first time in a long while that I would have a live stream show on during one of the fire rituals for the old Irish and Celtic. And so to have my show on Bealdana, because the old Irish, what they do is they celebrate, they have their ceremonies and rituals the night before the holiday. So today is Bealdana, but the ceremonies would have occurred last night, and so yeah. So it was carpe diem. We seized the day, and tapping into the energies of Bealtana while we were in an elevated vibration, the vibration of love. Yeah. So, all right. Well, let's get to the cards. They're cards that we've gotten before, and so I was asking my team, what is it about this particular card that we need to acknowledge and address that we haven't before? And so this is the first card. The first card is the Heyokah card, and it's about humor and opposites. Humor and opposites. And as you can see, there's the sacred clown that represents the Heyokah. And I'm not sure how it translates Heyokah into English. Heyokah is a Lakota word. But it represents a holy person, a holy man, a holy woman who is a Heyokah. It's a when we talk about it being the sacred clown, many might get the wrong impression, right? That it's a very I don't want to say serious, because that wouldn't be correct either. But the Heyokah medicine is very, very ancient. It's very ancient. And to be trained in the Heyokah means that you were selected. It's not something that you wake up one morning and you say, "Gee, I think I'm going to be a Heyokah." No, it doesn't happen that way. Sometimes you dream about it. You're given a vision about it, and then you go and take that dream or that vision to an elder and ask them the meaning behind it, and maybe be able to help you make connections with the people that would be able to help you. Okay. It's a very challenging medicine to be trained in. And all of the indigenous nations across the United States, across Turtle Island, have something that they would call the sacred clown or the Heyokah. Some of them are called contraries. This is what we shared about the last time we had the card, is what indigenous people, how they view Heyokah. Rob says, much related to the joke religion of Discordianism that venerates the Greek goddess Eris. Okay, I wouldn't know. Don't know about Eris. Roman name Discordia. Discordant. As in the opposite of harmonious? Is that what that is, Rob? I'm asking, is that similar? They're saying not really. Not really. It's close, but not really. Because what the Heyokah does, or the contrary does, is the message that they're trying to get across, they use in opposites. Okay? So, and this one is the one that probably is the most well known, is that when they're with somebody who is much too serious, or they think that they're too serious, they will start teasing them and making jokes about them. And the best thing in the whole world is to be able to laugh at yourself. And so many times the Heyokah uses the energy of opposites to communicate a message. Okay. Yeah. So Eris is the goddess of chaos and confusion, and what was the one who fermented the Trojan War. Oh, okay. So in that similarity, I wouldn't say that it's chaos. Although the receiver of the information, the receiver of the Heyokah focus may feel that it's chaotic. But in actuality, it is not. It's kind of like, when we are communicating, we can only do the best to make our communication as clear as possible, but it doesn't mean that the person that we're talking to actually receives it in that way. Yeah. Yeah. What they were reminding me of is that you can be telling somebody something that you feel is really important, and you're sitting there discussing it, and you might say something that is less important to the conversation, but the person listening to you, that less important piece may be the one that actually they grabbed onto and actually heard. And so when it's all said and done, and they're repeating it back to you, or letting you know what they got out of that conversation, you're thinking, of all the things that I said, that's the one that you thought was important. Okay. It doesn't mean that the communicator wasn't delivering the message or the information, but the receiver has their own filters, has their own way of taking in information, right? Yeah. So Rob is saying the main work is the Principia Discordia, and Robert Anton Wilson's Illuminatus series. Oh, okay. Well, thank you for sharing that, Rob. He says, to view it in the light of modern epistemology, it makes perfect sense. Okay. I don't know if it makes perfect sense with the real meaning of Heyokah, though. See, on the surface, on what is shown to people. Okay, thank you, Rob. Thank you for clarifying that. Heyokah on the surface, and this is where the opposites come in, I think. On the surface, you may take them in as being irreverent and clownish and even disheveled. Okay? Yeah. But the opposite of that is what the underlying medicine is all about. Yeah. It's a very big medicine to carry because it goes back generation after generation after generation, thousands of years. Heyokah medicine goes back, and like I said, you're actually selected. You're not volunteering for it. You're not signing up for it. And many of the Heyokah it's my internet or if it's be live. I don't know because everything just kind of blinked out. So we'll have to see. I'm thinking maybe it might be my internet, or it's because we're talking about Heyokah. In many ways, they're raised away from groups of people. You could say mainstream, but it's even within Indian country that they're actually raised and they're around elders more than they are their peers. Okay, and generally they speak their native language, their indigenous language, fluently, and that's their first language. And so English would not be something that they could really express themselves well in. Because a lot of the words in many indigenous languages don't translate well into English. And so it loses some of its meaning in the translation. Yeah. All right, let's see. Rob's on a roll today. Let's see what else does he have to say. He says, no human mind can understand the totality of existence. Eris resides outside the filters. Well, that's interesting because I think that's true. I think that there's, as we're spirit having a physical life, that many times what we experience from spirit is hard to describe in verbal language, right? See, I'm also having a hard time describing Heyokah that is not described the same way by Jamie Sams. Yeah, it's a challenge because you have to try to fit it into a language that doesn't really describe it well. And I'm not even sure that there is a language that describes it well. Rob says it adds a serious humorous polarity to Taoism. It's essentially Taoist in nature. Yeah, I suppose. I mean, that would be like calling it Taoist, but it's not. It's not. The similarities, I think, that come from spirit, that we then, as humans, as the two-leggeds, label, and then we get lost in the label. We get lost in the minutia of the meaning, right? And so we end up in our mental mind more than we do in the essence or the spirit of that. Yeah. And so when you would meet a Heyokah, when they're just dressed in their regular jeans and t-shirts, you wouldn't necessarily even know that they're a holy person trained in Heyokah until they start talking. Yeah. Now, when they're in their ceremonial clothes, in their regalia, they are automatically, you can tell that they're Heyokah. Okay, because they'll have a mask on, so you don't really see their human face. They'll have their mask on. They'll be dressed in usually black and white in some sort of pattern. And that is in the Osheti Sakoan. That is the nations west of the Mississippi. East of the Mississippi, you might see them a little bit differently. Yeah, they might. They'll be doing things backward. They'll be wearing their clothes inside out, and even their speech, they might actually speak backward in their speech. It's kind of like, when the first time I saw it, I remember a person dancing backward. I was thinking, for it's kind of like the act of undoing, actually, right? The act of undoing. So maybe that's where the chaos kind of terminology might come in. Maybe, maybe. Because they're really about the opposites. The opposites. They use the opposite to deliver a message, to deliver the life lesson. And even though that, people who might not be familiar with it may actually have more of a thought of, that there's some mental illness there. There's mental health issues going on there. And in actuality, there isn't. They're probably more sane than we are. And they view their themselves much differently than other two-leggeds. Yeah. See, we try to conform, right? Most people try to find what's normal, and they try to fit into the normal, even though they may not fit very well into the normal. They try to force themselves to fit into the normal. Whereas a Heyokah or a contrary would be going the complete opposite. Does that make sense? I got you, Rob. It's okay. It's all right. I got you. Um, and it's good. It's good that you can take the information and put it into a framework or into something that you're familiar with, right? It's kind of like cross-referencing. Yeah. To try to understand it at its fullest if you can. Now the trick is that, okay, you got the definition in your mind, and you think that you have a good handle on its form in a definition, right? The trick is to let that go and go into the spirit of it, the essence of it. And see if you can actually feel the essence of the opposite. Because sometimes the best learning or the deepest learning is when we can understand the opposite. Does that make sense? Because we reside, we live on a planet that is about polarity and duality. And what we're striving to do is return to the oneness, right? To return to the unified field. All of our life lessons lie in that school of polarity and duality. And so it's in our intention to move out of that and into a unified field. All of our life lessons then become about that duality. Yeah. So maybe when we have a situation or an event happening in our lives and we just don't understand it, it's like, I'm confused. How could that happen? Or I didn't even see that coming. It's like a shock or a surprise, right? That when we're able to is to consider the perspective of the opposite of that situation. Oh, okay. So they're saying that my team is saying, this is what's meant when they say when you walk a mile in someone else's moccasins, someone else's shoes, when you take the time to be, because, in the old days when there was only horse or no horse transportation and all you had were your two legs, walking a mile could take a while. Walking any distance for any amount of time could take a while. So, yeah, so it's looking at another perspective. It's looking at it from the other side of the room, so to speak. Or taking a look at it from the inside out. And I know that our mental mind is going to go, what? Because it's constantly searching for the rational. It's constantly searching for the logical, right? But I think that there's a lot to be learned, a lot to be gained by looking at something from another perspective. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to change your life or change your opinion about anything. It just broadens your perspective. Yeah. All right. So Rob says, it is in no measure of health to be well adjusted to be profoundly sick world. Yeah. Well, that's where we live, don't we? Is in a world of duality. And when we can bring those opposing sides together, and see the middle path, that's what that's about, right? Is to go into the middle path. That's unity. That's that field of that unified, that unified field. So if you saying what we just said, right, taking in the Heyokah, here's the poem. Aho Heyokah, make me laugh so I'll be human again. Allow me to see my crooked path and the trickster as my friend. Aho Heyokah, how contrary can you be? Yet you make me learn. Aho Heyokah, the joke's on me. But next time it's your turn. Let me tell you, when we learn a life lesson, when it's involving the opposites, that is a life lesson. The story around it, we never forget. We never forget that story. And why? Because it stands out. It stands out. It's not your typical story. So Jamie Sams writes that the primary lessons of the Heyokah trick is to trick us into the revelations rather than giving us all the answers. Okay, so therein lies the key, the revelation, the part that makes you go, oh, I get it. I understand now. That aha moment, rather than giving you all the answers. And it's kind of like what I was just trying to say about is that we can get the definition and even the formula and all of the mental attributes of it, and that's good because we do need that. But that's out of balance if we don't take in the essence, the spirit of, right? And so in order to be in balance, we also need the spirit of it. And so many times what we have to do is to let go of the mental process. Not that it's not important, but we got that. We've got that in spades. Is to relax about that piece so that we can take a look at the situation from another perspective, from this perspective of spirit. So that we can have that revelation, so that we can have that aha moment. Because that is the time when we're probably the closest to a full understanding. Yeah. Because technically, if you had only had the mental understanding of it, that'd be okay. If you only had the spiritual understanding of it, that would be okay too. But when you bring them both together, when you're bringing those opposites together to understand and to get the full meaning of it, that's when we have the revelation. That's when we get that aha moment. That's when we can really ground that information to the earth plane in its fullness. Yeah, it's a good one. She goes on to say that Heyokah is needed when we refuse to allow ourselves alternatives. The view will always expand if we use the divine medicine of laughter. Nothing is beyond repair. We may need to use comedy to crack a smile so that we can reclaim our sacred space. When we ask for those lessons, we need to be prepared for an adventure. We need to be willing to laugh and to have others laugh with us. We will have achieved the ultimate union of the opposites. The ultimate union of the opposites when we learn to celebrate more than we mourn. The time has come to laugh and reclaim our divine right to find pleasure in the sacredness of being human. I like that sentence, that last sentence. The time has come to laugh and reclaim our divine right to find pleasure in the sacredness of being human. So the keynote to the Heyokah card is to lighten up and start balancing the sacredness with the irreverent. If you're just being stubborn, it may take time to create a contrary lesson that will force you to crack a smile, or trick you into going into the crack of the universe to find out what's really important. Yeah. So the Heyokah medicine. I mean, the last time we looked at it, we were looking at it from the sense of humor point of view. Today, we're looking at it from the opposites. And really, the opposites is more about perspective. The church objects. That's okay. They can object all they'd like. And so, yeah, the opposites. So, can you think of a situation or an event that you may have recently experienced that made you go, oh, what? Huh? I don't get that. Because, our mental mind is searching for logic, right? Logic. So, the possibility that you could find some logic in the situation, but maybe if you took a look at the opposite, the life lesson would become so much deeper and much more meaningful when you can take in the fullness of that life lesson and not just one or two aspects of it. And maybe if we're able to do that, we can actually move through a life lesson a little bit more gracefully. And, well, if you're using Heyokah, at least you'll be able to laugh at a few things as well. But that might actually help us move through a situation with a little bit more grace. Yeah, in its fullness. But I also know that when you're right in the middle of a situation, that it's hard just to even see any logic. It might take you a few days. It might take you a bit of time to really sense that. Yeah. Rob says logic is nothing but internal consistency. There are infinite logics. And that's logic about logic. That's logic about logic. Now, maybe the second card will be able to help us a bit. The second card that came is the Vision Quest. And the Vision Quest is all about seeking and finding. And when this card jumped out of the deck, I laughed. Because what better way to help support that first card with Heyokah? If we're searching for understanding at its fullest, with Heyokah, we have to go to the opposite. So the Vision Quest is actually one of the 7 sacred gifts that was given to the Osheti Saikoi, right? And they build on each other. And so you get one gift and you use that gift and you get comfortable with it and you understand it and you get very familiar with it. And then you go on to the second gift and so forth. Well, the Vision Quest is, I think, third or fourth of the 7. And the Vision Quest is all about crying for a vision. It's called Hamplecha. And it's crying for a vision. In other words, you're praying for a vision, because in that vision is the answer to your prayers. Many people go on vision quests so that they can understand their life purpose, or to be able to get an idea of what's next for them, right? Yeah. It can also be a part of the initiation into adulthood. That a child, 13, 14 years old, might go on their first vision quest to get information about their adulthood. The vision quest is about connecting with spirit, calling on spirit, calling on the earth to help us. Yeah. So the vision quest can really, I think, can help us with understanding a life lesson when it comes through Heyokah medicine. So Jamie Sam writes that vision quests are one tool used by those seeking direction in life. Every time anyone seeks the silence of a balanced heart, the intuitive process can allow the truth to come forward. Truth is the final destination of any seeker's path. When the truth is found inside the self, there is no need to look further. The vision created from truth is the heart's desire to walk in beauty. A vision created from the need to control others or from greed is based in lies about the natural order of creation. A vision of the sacred path is always clear. And it's to seek it's to seek the signs and omens that allow humans to make proper decisions, then act upon those signs is a part of the vision quest for their life. The goal is to reach that place of inner serenity so the inner world is equal to the outer world. When the two worlds are one, we become the living dream. That's kind of nice, isn't it? When the two worlds become one, we become the living dream. So let's put that into that context of Heyokah. You know, when we're able to put those opposites together, we actually could possibly receive a whole picture, a fuller understanding. Yeah. Yeah, but it takes courage. It takes courage. It takes some bravery. It takes some bravery. Many times I would imagine to face the opposite of a situation. So if you're okay, so if you are searching for the truth, right? Then you have to take a look at the lie. If you're searching for truth, then you have to take a look at the lie. Doesn't mean that you have to agree with the lie or condone the lie, but it might be helpful to look at the lie. Or those situations that just boggle your mind. It's like, what? Really? I don't get that one. You know? So sometimes it would be beneficial for us to take a look at the opposite of it. Yeah. All right. So gotta look at the time here. So Jamie Sam goes on to say about the vision quest is that the card speaks of a time of a new direction or strengthening of the present path based on personal truth. The card tells you that the course of your life needs to be clarified through vision. It's now time to ask for assistance from the allies and ancestors so that your choice will be reinforced with their wisdom and assistance. Seeking your personal answer is the keynote. Trusting those feelings and following them with action is the way to find the truth. Remember, in seeking, you're asking for answers. Be willing to accept and recognize the truth when it comes to you. Recognition and acceptance always precede inner knowing. Recognition and acceptance always precede inner knowing. Yeah. Rob's saying too many people fail to see that, especially within themselves. Yeah, that is hard. Yeah, because it's so much easier to see it in somebody else. We're not looking at our own stuff. And Rob said that is dangerous. You can easily get sucked in. The lie contains enough truth to make it obvious to the unwary. I think that's where you have to call in your allies. That's where you have to call in your team, right? And say and ask them for help. It's like, okay, so what is it in this lie that's important for me to know about? To really discern what the truth is. What is that? To understand what this life lesson that I'm dealing with. Yeah. So you're turning to your team. You don't have to do this by yourself. We're not meant to do it by ourselves. And so our team can help us to understand with more clarity the perspectives of those opposites so that we can bring it together into a unified whole. Heyokah medicine is not an easy medicine to carry. It's not an easy medicine to understand. But the understanding that you do receive is hugely profound. It goes way deeper, way deeper than some other superficial way. Yeah. I think it's because we're taking the opposites and bringing them together. It's a fuller understanding of it. Like I said earlier, if you had the mental understanding of the situation, that's okay. You can get by with that. It's not in its fullest. That means that you have to go on to experience it in another way to get a fuller meaning of it, right? And to understand it from an emotional point of view, that's okay too. But it doesn't give you the depth that if you had the balance between the emotion and the mental, between the heart and the brain. That's what gives you depth. Yeah. Hey, Mark. I didn't know you were here. Hello, Mark. He says, can I harness energy, shape reality? Only highest density beings can. I don't know. That's a good question. Can you? I'll turn it back to you. Do you believe that you can? Do you believe that you can? Yeah. So here, I'm going to show you the two cards together. Okay. And because of the kind of medicine that Heyokah care is, you might want to take a nice big deep breath in as you take a look at the cards together. And as the exhale is asking your team to help you to bring in the fullness, the full meaning for you of the essence of the cards. And so we're taking it in the full information and in as many ways as possible. Yeah. And so if you're experiencing a situation, an event, and you want to understand it at its fullest, is you may want to call on your team and ask them to help you to understand the truth and go to the opposite to understand it. Good. Good for you, Mark. If you believe it, right? If you have full faith, you can do it. He says, my guides are not good enough to know or to do it. Oh. How do you know that? And then why are they your guides then? Seems to me you might want to get some new guides. Because they should be 2 or 3 steps ahead of us. They shouldn't be behind us, and they shouldn't be at the same ability. They should be steps ahead of us so they can actually guide, right? All right, so Heyokah medicine. Yeah, take a look at the opposites. So, we've got lots of things coming up. We're working on that May issue for Star Nations magazine that gets published on the 10th. And so we're heading into the actual layout of the magazine. Which is the creative process, right? Yeah, I like doing that part. Or actually, I'm not the one doing it. I'm the one who's cheering the layout specialists on, and I get to see their magic as they work with the articles and the pictures. I think you guys are going to like the cover. I can't wait for you to see it. And what else is coming up? Next week, we have Mervyn Kelly. No, I'm sorry. I got to get my calendar out. That's not right. Got to get my calendar out so I can see it. All right, so hopefully we'll have Polly Jo back next week for Chakra Sessions at noon on Tuesday. And my weekly show is Communications from Home on Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And then on Wednesday, Soul Connections with Polly Jo at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And and so next week is going to be kind of it's a publishing week. It's a good thing that I have a light show schedule. Yeah, that's good stuff. Okay. Well, with that, enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. And we're going to do a replay for Polly Jo's show tonight. I'll get that posted, the recorded video, probably soon after this show is done, and so that you guys have an opportunity to still do the healing meditation, right? And also, if you want, you can also re-listen to the card draw information. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Well, no, they are not earthbound. Your guides are in spirit and they're not earthbound. They are not. And you have many, many more than just a couple. So the chances of you having star guides is pretty good. It's pretty good that you might have a few of them. Okay. Yeah. All right. You're welcome, Rob. You're welcome. So enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. We'll see you back here for the live stream show, the daily live stream show, and the group card draw tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. With that, Bama Mina. That means in Potawatomi until we see each other again. Love you guys.